Hi, I'm Greg Dell with Dell Disability Lawyers, joined today by attorney Cesar Gavidia, and we're going to talk about, Cesar, one of your resolved cases recently with Reliance Standard, and we want to get into, in this particular case, the reasons why Reliance Standard denied your client 4 times, which everyone's going to learn about, and then provide information about what you were able to do and some tips that might help some people if they've been denied. So let's get right into what you did in this Reliance Standard denial case.
So this is a pretty remarkable case, and you're gonna find out why. Our client was a former insurance agent, worked for a large insurance company, not in disability, but in like casualty property, other types of insurance products. Had done it a really long time. At around, he was in his early 60s. Struggling with peripheral neuropathy, which is a really debilitating neurological disease and disorder, and really try to stick it out as long as he could. Even reduced his hours at work to try to see if he could function and work and perform his job duties with an accommodated type of schedule. He couldn't because before long he had to file and stop working completely and file for disability under his employer's Reliance Standard insurance policy. When he submitted it initially, he submitted his application and claim on his own. Reliance almost immediately denied it on the grounds that he wasn't working the required 30 hours a week to make him eligible for the coverage as an employee, regardless of the fact that he'd been there, however many years that qualified him for coverage there. Regardless, and despite the fact that he had reduced his hours to try to accommodate this chronic pain condition he was suffering from, they knew this all, and they denied him anyways. He appealed it on his own, and that was actually successful. They overturned the decision and approved him, finding him totally disabled. 5 months later, they deny him again. They terminate his claim, saying that a physician had reviewed his records, the same physician that had actually reviewed the claim a few months prior, now saying that the medical records and evidence don't support any functional limitations.
Because he got better in those 5 months.
Yeah, somehow the EMG nerve conduction studies changed, the MRIs changed, he miraculously became that one person in the world that was cured of peripheral neuropathy.
Especially at 60 years old.
Right. And he actually appealed it on his own again and was successful.
This is all in the own occupation definition.
This is all in the own occupation definition. Actually, when we appealed it for him this time, he didn't appeal this time on his own. We appealed for him, and that's when he sought us out. We appealed it. We got it approved on the basis of own occupation disability.
So just clarify that for people watching the video so they're going to understand what own occupation is versus any occupation and why why people are commonly denied during the any occupation. Yeah.
So these group disability policies often have 2 definitions of disability that basically transition after a period of time. So it typically starts as what's called an own occupation disability claim.
Right.
The insurance company, in this case Reliance Standard's, determining whether you're disabled from performing the substantial material duties of your own occupation, whatever that may be. Now, they don't have to necessarily consider your job, they're considering your occupation. So they can see how that occupation is performed kind of across the broad landscape of what that occupation is. After typically 24 months, some policies have it even shorter period. I've seen it up, after 12 months in some cases. But typically after 24 months, that definition of disability transitions to what's called the any occupation or any gainful occupation standard of disability. Now the insurance company is determining whether you're disabled from any gainful occupation, typically which you're qualified for by education, training, experience. Sometimes there's a qualification there for your earnings, but not in every case. So it really depends on the policy.
And so it's very common because it's harder to get approved in the any occupation, which is basically how you defined it, versus the own occupation. So carriers scrutinize the claims heavily at the change of definition.
Right.
But in your case, the first appeal was during the own occupation. How about the second appeal?
The second appeal was also in the own occupation.
Okay.
It was only 5 months later. This is kind of within the first year of him applying for benefits. He's in his early 60s. He's been struggling with this chronic pain condition. He gets denied first on the basis of coverage. It's like they almost
Right.
tried everything. They deny him on the basis of this eligibility of coverage. They find that there's no basis to deny him on that. They overturn it. They have a physician review the records. They find he's totally disabled from any occupation. They approve him for just 5 months and
Right, got it.
deny him again. He appeals it again, gets it overturned again. Within a few months later, they deny it again, still in the own occupation
this is the third
stage.
denial.
This is the third denial. We appeal it this time. He seeks us out. We appeal it. We kind of highlight different things in the own claim file and within the medical review that they'd conducted, that their medical physician, their peer review physician, found that his prognosis was not good. It was poor. This is directly quoted from their medical review. And that the EMG nerve conduction studies basically supported that he had chronic neuropathy. And this wasn't going to get better. But somehow they still found or say that he's able to function in his occupation. So we appeal it. It gets overturned within about 6 months.
No.
Yes, they deny it again. This time because they say that he's not disabled from any gainful occupation, despite us producing evidence, submitting evidence that this is a permanent condition that isn't going to resolve and going to get better.
So there were 4 denials within the first 24 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you handled 2 of the appeals?
We handled the second to last appeal and the last appeal.
Okay.
So he handled 2 on his own. We handled the last 2. It got a little confusing there at first because there were so many appeals. You don't usually see that. That's why I said this is going to be a remarkable claim for people to hear about, because there's this misconception that once you get approved by the disability insurer, or once you've appealed it and they've decided that you're disabled, that's it. They're going to pay your benefits without interrupting your
Right.
claim and without stopping your payments, and they're going to accept that you're totally disabled forever. And
Right,
that's
but
not the case.
That never happens.
That never happens.
Do you remember, was it always the same claim person at Reliance Standard?
I think that I'm not sure if it was the same claims person from the initial. But I know that there was, with every level of appeal, they had to change it,
Right.
the claims person. They could not have the same person review it. So obviously we went through different levels of people handling this. So at least probably 4 or 5 pairs of eyes had seen this and made a decision.
But they can go back to the same claims handler, not the appeal specialist, but the same claims handler. Do you happen to know if it was the same person who kept denying the claim?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I think that basically, they changed things up. And, this is also during the time where we went from 2017, 2018, now we're getting denials into 2019, 2020. I mean, it's almost every year he's having to deal with this. The last denial, essentially, he's getting awarded for Social Security disability. During this time, he gets awarded Social Security disability. We have basically updated, refreshed MRIs, nerve conduction studies. He tried to present for an FCE that we wanted him to attend, but there was a complication there during this COVID period. It was really hard to get things scheduled, and there was a risk there. But he had such strong support from his pain management doctors, from his neurologists, from the Social Security Administration that did their own independent review, and then even from the Reliance Standard's own medical file, pulling out these basically smoking gun statements from their own medical reviewers and their peer review physicians, different pairs of medical professionals, different sets of medical professionals finding that he's got significant objective findings of this condition, that the limitations are going to be likely permanent. And on that basis, we just received notice that he's been reapproved. So this is now 2022, and we're being notified that he's once again been reapproved. He's 64 years old now. 64, so he's at the end of the benefit period here.
Cesar, it's incredible because you said that he's 64 and you just won the appeal, and it's like, they're going to pay till 65 or maybe Social Security retirement age 66. It's like, what do you want? They think it's weird because the older you are, the harder you fall, they say, right? It's harder to deal with medical conditions as you get older. You're just not as young as you were. But it's like, at that point, they think, like, is it a retirement plan for him? Like, he didn't want to work? And they know that his benefit was limited compared to what he was making. I mean, I remember discussing this client. He was making, like, 40% of what he used to earn because he only had so much in coverage, but he was earning so much more. So there was no incentive for him to go on disability, yet they're basically saying, no, there's nothing wrong with you, go to work. And I sometimes wonder, do they look at the age of the person, or are they just completely clueless? Because we've had denials where it's like the person has 5 months left.
Well, I've seen in some cases where people have argued, they've submitted their own appeals and they argue, I'm 64 or I'm, 63. I can't find, even they argue, I can't find a job. There's no one that would hire me with this issue at this age. No one would hire me. And the insurance companies write back that your age is not a consideration. We don't have to give any attention to your age whatsoever in determining whether you qualify for disability benefits under this plan. Or they'll say, we're not Social Security disability. We don't have to, give any deference to your age.
And then when you were talking about, it's the fourth denial and the fourth appeal, and you won, and I think about Reliance Standard compared to other companies, and you were saying how you went through the file and you found all this evidence that they had found that was supportive of the claim, yet they ignored it. So I ask you this question in that, is Reliance Standard just desperate to deny the claims, or are the people who are reviewing the claims at the lower level just not smart enough or know what they're doing? Which one do you think it is?
I don't think it's a matter of people not being smart enough or that they are desperate to deny anything. I think that it's just that they get into, and this is true, I think aside from Reliance Standard, insurance companies get into this kind of stage of complacency where they think they could just send a file to a medical reviewer, whether it's in-house or often outside of the insurance company. They pay them X number of thousands of dollars to do the medical review of the records, and just to provide them an opinion that this person has got no limitations. Now, every once in a while, you'll find, as in this case, that if they actually spend the time reviewing that report and looking at it objectively, they'll find that the person's disabled. That's what happened at every single level of appeal here, and then it gets denied again for some other reason. So, I don't know what you call that, but it's...
Well, what I call that is you get people at the company who are desensitized to the emotions and the real world scenario of the impact of denying a person who's disabled and who's relying on that money to come in, versus an appeals person who deals exclusively with denials all day long and looks at that and says, look, I have an ethical responsibility to determine truly whether or not this person's disabled, because that's all I do, and I have to be this...
I'm not going to name the insurance company, but it's an insurance company that, we actually know the claims people pretty closely. We've been working with them for a long time. I remember them calling me one time, and they said, Cesar, we got this medical review back from one of our physicians that we'd had review the records. And I looked it over, and I don't agree with our physician. I think that there are limitations here. And so we're going to approve your client. Mm-hmm. That's what they should be doing. I think they're acknowledging that there are flaws sometimes in these reports and in these reviews that are done by...
I don't expect them to go that far, because they're just trained to say, if you get the evidence that's not supportive, ignore what's on the other side and go with that. What I do expect them to do, and we never see it because there's supposed to be notes in the claim file, is they're not doctors, the claims person or the appeal person, is to say, like in your case, why do I have 3 doctors that are supporting disability and 1 doctor that I sent a file to who doesn't, and now there's a difference of opinion? Why isn't there a discussion with an in-house doctor or someone else at the company to say, please explain to me why I have this discrepancy? And they never do that. They just get it back from the one doctor who they hired and say, that's the rule, that's the law. We're going to go by the one doctor that we paid to disagree with the 3 other doctors. So that's what I think they should do. Now, you happen to talk about another company where you have an experienced claims person who's looking at it saying, I'm not buying what the doctor's saying, or the evidence from the treating
is overweighing
this other side. And and at the end of the day, unfortunately, with these ERISA cases, the judge, if you lose, doesn't really get the opportunity to do that when it's a discretionary review, because the judge has to say, was the review by the insurance company reasonable in 99% of these cases, regardless of the outcome of the decision of the insurance company. And that's what the insurance companies know, is that they just have to do some kind of reasonable review. The result may not be what it should be, but if the review, the process of going through it was reasonable, then they can win these cases at litigation. So they're playing the system. And unfortunately, as a claimant, you got to hire extremely experienced ERISA disability lawyers, long-term disability insurance lawyers, who know how to anticipate what's going to come if you lose the appeal and know how to present the evidence in a way to win your appeal, hopefully, but if you don't win, have a great case going forward because you know the disability insurance company isn't going to review the file the way they're supposed to. So, well, hopefully at age 64, after 4 denials and 4 appeals, that they're going to leave this client alone and he'll get paid for the next 2 years. But anything's possible. I'm sure you're not going to be shocked if he gets denied again. It's a crazy story. Well, congratulations. Great job. If you're someone out there who has a Reliance Standard long-term disability policy, feel free to reach out to Cesar, myself, any of our long-term disability lawyers. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we look forward to providing you with a free initial phone consultation. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.